एक लड़की को देखा. Is that how everybody looks at you and says that?
मुझे पहले ही स्क्रीन टेस्ट में डांट पड़ गई थी कि विनोद ने बोला था कि तुमको तो एक्टिंग आती नहीं है, एंड तो मैंने बहुत मेहनत करके नेक्स्ट उनको रिक्वेस्ट किया था कि प्लीज एक बार और मुझे चांस दीजिए.
How is Heeramandi different from the earlier ones?
मेरी ज़बान उतनी उर्दू में शुद्ध नहीं है, लेकिन मैं प्रैक्टिस करती थी.
खुदा हुस्न इतनी देता है तो उर्दू अपने आप आ जाती है.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. Wow. In the present version, he goes and he also dies.
Yeah.
But in the original version, he lets her die. He says, if you're good for this thing cause, even my cause is larger.
What do you think it would have been better?
That time only itself, I had liked the original.
Your grandfather was Prime Minister of Nepal.
Right.
What prompted you at that stage to move to India?
We were in political exile, and our base was in Varanasi.
Your battle with cancer.
In 2012, I was diagnosed, and I had no clue that it was the last stage of ovarian cancer. I felt I was going to die. Appreciation for who they are and what they do for you as parents was huge. I don't know how to say this more without crying.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching or listening to another edition of the ANI podcast with Smita Prakash. This episode is being filmed in Mumbai, and my guest today is Manisha Koirala. Born to the politically prominent Koirala family, she is the granddaughter of a former Prime Minister of Nepal. She made her acting debut with a Nepali film and went on to act in several Hindi films after that. Manisha ji, thank you so much for being part of the podcast. I've been looking forward to speaking with you for a very long time. I'm so glad you found the time to come here.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'm so happy to be here.
Should I begin with ek ladki ko dekha? Is that how everybody looks at you and says that? I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind, right? When one sees you.
Long time back.
I know, but still, I mean, I think it redefined romance for a whole generation of girls and boys, right?
Yeah.
And girls were like, अगर ऐसे नहीं बोला मेरे बारे में, तो you're reject, cancel, right? When you saw that happening, and you saw the picturization, how did you feel about it?
Oh my God, it was just something beyond my imagination. उन दिनों कैसा होता था कि हम लोग शूटिंग करते थे डलहौजी में, और वहाँ पे वो प्रिंट नेगेटिव वगैरह सब करके हम लोग छोटे से थिएटर में जाके देखते थे. And there itself, it was so beautiful, though the projection was not that clear. The theatre used to be not that, good, but still the results were so beautiful. तो हम लोग बहुत खुश थे उसी वक्त.
So when that song was filmed on you, the lyrics and everything fit perfectly. And Anil Kapoor singing it, even though it's not with you and he in the same frame, it's almost as if he's seeing you in front of him.
Right.
While he's doing it. The
Right.
picturization was, even though it wasn't a traditional romantic film, it was set in, the freedom struggle,
Yeah.
and yet it remained a romantic film.
Yes.
Unimaginably romantic.
Yeah.
So what was that acting in that film like?
It was wonderful. First of all, where I had never done something like this, and that time, this project was a massive project, and मुझे पहले ही स्क्रीन टेस्ट में डांट पड़ गई थी.
अच्छा.
कि विनोद ने बोला था कि तुमको तो एक्टिंग आती नहीं है, एंड तो मैंने बहुत मेहनत करके नेक्स्ट उनको रिक्वेस्ट किया था कि प्लीज़ एक बार और मुझे चांस दीजिए. तो उन्हें कहा अच्छा कल आ जाना. तो आई हैड गॉट इट विद लॉट ऑफ हार्ड वर्क, एंड आई हैड अंडरस्टूड दैट ड्यूरिंग दिस एंटायर दिस थिंग आई कैन नॉट slag. I have to figure out and I have to do my best. ये तो मुझे पता चल गया था स्क्रीन टेस्ट के वक्त ही. फिर जब हम लोग स्क्रिप्ट रीडिंग करते थे, तो विनोद के घर में हम लोग सब लोग इकट्ठा होके वी ऑल यूज्ड टू डू स्क्रिप्ट रीडिंग एंड ऑल दैट. उस वक्त भी मुझे बार बार यही विनोद कहते थे कि देखो मनीषा, the two massive those days, Anil Kapoor and Jackie Shroff were the biggest stars, you know, and they had given multiple super hits, and so both the heroes are both the superstars are in love with you in the film, so you better you do everything to look beautiful. आप कुछ भी करो मुझे मालूम नहीं, लेकिन you have to look perfect. ऐसा न लगे कि मैं झूठ बोल रहा हूँ एज अ डायरेक्टर कि लड़की तो इतनी खूबसूरत है नहीं, तो ये लोग क्यों दिमाग खराब कर रहे हैं, why they are lying to audience shouldn't feel cheated. So ये सब मुझे फीडबैक विनोद हमेशा देते रहते थे.
A lot of pressure, no?
A lot of pressure. But somehow I got the gist. Somehow I understood that this is like a serious business, and I had no idea. I was too young. I was too naive. I was not from the film background, so I did not know much कि coaching ले ये ले और किसको पूछें ये और कुछ मालूम नहीं था. But somehow I navigated and figured out. And also, what happened during those days, we were all of us became very good friends. You know, Binod Pradhan, Renu Saluja, Vinod Chopra's first wife, and she was also the editor of the film. Renu used to come. So we all used to sit and talk and bond, and all Vinod's assistants became friends.
So team effort.
The team effort. They would tell me कैसे करना है, क्या करना है. विनोद का स्ट्रिक्ट इंस्ट्रक्शन रहता था कि 4 बजे उठना है तो मतलब 7-8 बजे सो जाना है. सो ऐसा पूरा माहौल जो था वो उसने मुझे बहुत सपोर्ट किया, मुझे बहुत गाइड किया.
That naive look that you had in that film, then one sees you as a child of deaf and mute parents in Khamoshi. That was another naive but pathos-filled role that you had in that film. You know, the way you emote in that film also, a lot through your eyes. Was there growth as an actor when you between the two roles? Like, did you essay it differently? How did you do it?
So basically, I used to go by instinct a lot.
Because there's vulnerability in both, but different kind of vulnerability.
Yes. That also is how the director is seeing the character. So I am able to mold myself according to the vision of the director. I normally work with the director and the writer, and somehow it's something that it has come to me as an instinctive way. So I watch the director. What is he expecting? What is he expecting? What is he saying? And I pick it up and I do that. So during Khamoshi also. Actually, when Sanjay gave me the script, he gave me the script only to read and give him a feedback. Because Sanjay and I were friends, you know, during 1942 shooting के समय. तो संजय ने मुझे ऐसे बोला था कि मनीषा मैंने एक स्क्रिप्ट लिखी है, तुम हीरोइन नहीं हो उसमें, लेकिन बताना कैसी लगी तुमको, पढ़ के बताना. तो जब मैं पढ़ी मैंने कहा ये तो बहुत ही अच्छी स्क्रिप्ट है, रोना आता है, हंसना आता है, लगता है कि इनका रोमांस सफल हो जाए और इन माँ बाप भी खुश रहें, और so much of heart in the script. So I love the script. And मैंने संजय को उसी वक्त कहा था कि संजय अगर आपके दिमाग में जहन में जो भी एक्ट्रेस है वो नहीं करेंगी तो मैं इसमें काम करूँगी, और don't go to anybody else, please come to me, because I love the story. I could see the beautiful film being made of that script. Which it happened ultimately.
You know, you've played such a variety of roles, a wide range of characters, from vulnerable ones to strong and independent, and then you come with the Heeramandi. You know, after playing several roles, how is Heeramandi different from the earlier ones, or did you learn from your earlier ones and bring little bits of all your earlier characters into Heeramandi?
So, see, unconsciously, I'm sure I would have picked on with everything that has happened in my life, everything that has that I played as an actor. I'm sure there is some influence that I think we all human beings are somewhere influenced. But as an actor, I really wanted to grow then from what I've done before. I really wanted to explore certain side of me, certain aspect of me as an actor, which people have not seen. I have also not done. I've not
because
seen
you've done mainly minimalistic look,
Ji.
है ना? And here it was over the top.
Yeah.
Everything was over the top. I guess it's as his movies are like that also, or his shows or whatever you want to call them are always larger than life.
Yeah.
But yours has always been subdued and subtle, and your look and everything has been like that. So for you also, I guess it was new.
It was very new. And also, the character was so layered. And at the look test, only Sanjay had said that the Mallika Jan's character has everything. She's evil, she's vulnerable, she can destroy somebody's life, and she also gets destroyed. You know, so I want to see many layers of Mallika Jan. So मुझे लगा कि इसको कैसे करें, वो एक ढांचा तो मुझे दिखा नहीं था शुरू में. जैसे मुझे एनी का ढांचा दिख गया था स्क्रिप्ट से ही, लेकिन मल्लिका जान का ढांचा मुझे दिखा नहीं था. तो जैसे जैसे हम लोग कर रहे थे काम, वैसे वैसे इट बिकेम क्लियरर. इट बिकेम ओ लाइक दिस, लाइक दिस, लाइक दिस. सो वी नीड टू बी ओपन एज एन आर्टिस्ट टू वर्क विद बोथ द काइंड ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर.
Have you done a negative role before?
I have. I've done this Mapillai film in South. Tamil film. But that was, it wasn't layered negative role. It was a standard negative role. So here this is layered. Here you are actually, I was exploring Mallika Jan while I was performing.
Also, I guess a series gives you enough time to develop a character and move.
Normally, nowadays, when so much of creative minds are involved, then you can take that chance. But when you are, I think you need somewhat to be confident in your craft and your team's craft. You know, because film or this kind of work is a team effort.
You know, when you're saying that rely on craft and all that, when I'm looking at you and it's like, oh my God, she's been there since the 90s, and I just feel still that, you know, it's just the other day that you came in, but you have such a large body of work, but still it feels like this, because I guess you see that your films come up so often, and revisiting your films, whether it is Khamoshi, whether it is 1942, whether any of these films, you keep revisiting them. So it feels like you just came in the other day. But yeah, you have a large body of work, that's true.
I have, and honestly speaking, when I'm also explaining and talking about it, I suddenly realize, oh my God, I've done a lot of work. But when I'm doing a character or a film, I'm still very nervous. I'm still very unsure. I'm still trying to discover, because as an artist, I hope I'm growing.
Yeah, because that fear and that fear of maybe a stage fright kind of a fear, you know what I mean? It makes you want to learn more, right?
Yeah, it definitely. I want to grow, because there's such good quality of work that you see nowadays coming out from India. You know, and youngsters are doing brilliant work, whether in acting, whether in directing, whether in photography. You see that, all in music. I feel creatively it's exploding with a lot of talent.
How is it different from when you got in from the 90s that you got in? Several decades you have seen, and you know, you've gone and come and gone and come a couple of times. You got frustrated at some point of time with the kind of work.
Bored, frustrated, everything.
And you've been very open about it, that the kind of work which was happening, it wasn't
motivating me.
Yeah, motivating me. You took a break, went off to New York, you know, did a course in acting also. And at that time, I remember reading in the magazine, I was thinking, क्यों जा रही हैं भाई? इतना तो कर चुकी हैं, अब क्या सीखेंगी ये? But I felt at that time, but you did take a break. So compare today and then, how is it different, the film industry?
I feel there was a time, and I feel that's normally that's how the flow of life is. is that after it reaches a peak, it always stagnates and it falls down. And I think there was a time in the creativity or the quality of cinema being told that time wasn't that great, or should put one or two good filmmakers will come and make good film, but by and large like 80-90% was very average films. But today the world has opened up to India. India has opened up to the world. So you see there's this whole flow of interest, and the youth today are exposed to so much more of what is happening everywhere. So I think now creatively this is exploding. I think it's one of the best times I have seen, and I'm so grateful that I'm seeing it in my lifetime, this happening. Because I know now, like you talk to any young people, I'm on my toes, because somehow their knowledge of cinema is quite strong, and on their subject they're very मतलब कि उनकी पकड़ है अपने subject में.
So they're 30 years or something younger than you, but they're
sometimes 20 years.
20 years, but
they're
they know.
Exposed, and they worked hard, and they're very focused. You know, so I am very surprised at some of them. Yes, some of them definitely is like you get all sorts.
Yeah.
You know, you get all sorts, and there are people that you realize that they're not here for the right reason. They're here for the glamour or the superficial things and stuff like that. And but there are few people, my God, I am on my toes.
See, when you were acting opposite some of the noted filmmakers or film actors of that time, male actors, it was a very male-oriented film industry at that stage. Like you had a Jackie Shroff and an Anil Kapoor, like you were talking about. Then you also acted with Shah Rukh in Dil Se and all that.
Right.
And then came a period where you were doing Lajja and women-oriented.
Right.
So you've seen the male-oriented industry and you've seen interest in women-oriented films. Were you hopeful at that stage that women-oriented topics coming my way?
Yeah. I was very happy when I was doing Lajja, and but again, Lajja was once in a while, and there was a long gap, and then something else will come, and there's a long gap, you know. But I, as an actor, we all are hungry. We all are still, you know, want to continuously work.
कुछ हटके film kind of a thing.
हाँ, हटके करने में मजा है ना.
मजा.
हाँ, क्योंकि उसमें you are exploring yourself also.
Also in like in Dil Se, in Bombay, these were socio-political messages which came in.
Right.
You know, in that, and they were iconic films, both of them.
Right.
Tell me something about Bombay. It was controversial also, and at that stage, did you feel कि कुछ गड़बड़ है? Like,
so basically, I feel when Bombay was offered to me, again I was a bit ignorant, I was a bit naive, and I was surrounded with people. At one lot of people were telling me कि ये मत करना क्योंकि तुम दो बच्चों की माँ का रोल कर रही हो. एक बार तुमने माँ का रोल कर लिया तो you'll be stuck with that image, and you'll always be a mother. You will not get a heroine's role. So एक लॉट वो था, और दूसरा लॉट था जैसे अशोक मेहता थे, और उन्होंने जब उनको लगा कि मैं थोड़ा डाउटफुल हूँ ये है, तो उन्होंने मुझे डांटा और कहा कि तुम you cannot overlook the kind of work Mani Ratnam has done. Please go and educate yourself. You know, he's a brilliant director, and you're getting an opportunity to work with him. Go and grab it. So I listened to him. And also, when I met Manisha, I just absolutely adored his intellectual politeness, creative hunger, trying again to explore things. And the best thing that I was convinced to do, Bombay, was the end message. Was that, you know, the coming together as, you know, brothers and sisters and as a one family. So I felt that was a great message, and for me, you know, as I said, you know, like मुझे अशोक जी ने डांटा था, फिर मैं मनीषा से बाद में मिली, तो मनीषा उन्होंने कुछ लुक टेस्ट वगैरह किया था, उस वक्त ही मुझे लगा कि ये कुछ अलग बना रहे हैं. और ये भी most of the creative people or creative genius people that I have come across, they're not really always sure what they want. They're always exploring. So I could sense that in him as well.
But also, Do Bachon Ki Maan, but still that Hamma Hamma song.
Yeah.
I mean, to show that a mom can also be hot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It wasn't done till then.
Yeah, it was quite sweet.
You were at once, there were so many layers. There was the mom Vatsalya look that you had, which was maternal.
Yeah.
But there was also the coquettish wife.
Yeah, exactly.
You were doing both in one song.
Yeah.
And even now it plays in clubs.
Yeah.
Remo and that song. This is what I'm saying. Ek ladki also is you, and Hammama is also you. Right? So you were making a mark with every film that you were doing.
Touchwood. I'm so grateful for that. Yeah.
And Dil Se?
Again, Dil Se.
A terrorist.
Yeah, I
or
know.
a militant, not so much a
militant terrorist.
Suicide bomber.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, I was supposed to do a film with Ram Gopal Verma, and this came to me. I think they had other people in mind, and this came to me towards later. And but I was very, as an artist, I wanted to again explore the areas that I've never explored. So when he said, Manisha, you will be playing a terrorist, but I don't want you to play that जो दिखाते ना एक बार वो एकदम hard and all that, ना वो नहीं करना तुम एक normal लड़की की तरह रहना, अपनी तरह रहना, लेकिन वो उसका pain, उसकी anger, उसका वो वहाँ तक पहुँच गया है, वो मतलब कि reasonable reason से ऊपर चला गया है. तो and for me as a artist, that was a great opportunity to be able to explore the negativity, to explore the negative side of the character, because I've always played a good character and lovable, good. और ये थोड़ा सा अलग था, और ये अलग इसलिए भी था क्योंकि वो नहीं चाहते थे कि टिपिकल जो नेगेटिव कैरेक्टर होता है उस तरह से नहीं करना तुम, वो नहीं करना तुम. तो मुझे अच्छा लगा था कि उसमें भी मुझे और
it also made us rethink as viewers and watchers, because in this movie, unlike other Bollywood movies, cause triumphed over love. Cause became more important than love towards an individual.
Right.
So it made people rethink that, oh my God, that's also possible.
But also in the original script that we was there, we had agreed on, both the guys, for the terrorists and for the hero, the cause is larger. In the sense she is going anyways to mutilate herself and in this thing, and he actually in the present version he goes and he also dies.
Yeah.
But in the original version he lets her die.
That seems more credible, na?
He says, if you're good for this thing cause, even my cause is larger. So that somehow was agreeable to all of us, but they changed at the last minute, and somehow
it didn't seem credible to me. Honestly, now I can say that, because I just felt that you had, as a woman, you had gone through that angst at that time. You have seen that. वो तो बाद में आया ना?
हाँ.
उसने तो वो देखा ही नहीं ना?
Correct.
How did he suddenly feel important enough to die for the cause?
Yeah. So he basically I think everybody was trying to achieve that his love was so intense for her. At the same time, he couldn't allow her to go for it, nor allow to live without her. So he kind of goes and succumbs to that. Basically, he stops her, but he also dies in that. So it was like a big sacrifice on his end. ऐसा था. वो कोशिश कर रहे थे, लेकिन ओरिजिनल में वो नहीं था. ओरिजिनल में था कि वो बोलता कि ठीक है.
What do you think it would have been better? Original?
That time only itself I had liked the original. That time itself I had said because unka there is no way they would have become one. There's not in death, not in life. They both are on a different this thing. So it's like sometimes unrequited love, you know, are far more interesting than जो पा लेते हैं या मौत में या ज़िंदगी में, वो उतना मज़ेदार नहीं लगता. जब unrequited होता है, आधा रह जाता प्यार किसी का, वो थोड़ा सा भाता है कभी कभी.
Same like, do you remember there was a film Ek Duje Ke Liye years ago?
Yeah.
If they had not committed suicide.
Ek Duje Ke Liye, Sadma. You know, in Sadma,
Leave it open.
She leaves him. When the moment she realizes, she gets conscious, and she leaves him, and he's the one who like making all sorts of thing to, and they never meet again. It ends with not meeting, and I feel that's also a beautiful ending.
हाँ, प्यार से भी जरूरी और काम है, प्यार सब कुछ नहीं जिंदगी के लिए.
हाँ, correct. Right? Yeah, exactly.
So there are other things in life.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, you have portrayed different women over the years that you have acted. Do you think that the industry's approach towards women roles, women characters, has changed since the 90s and the 2000s and subsequently?
A lot.
I
mean, for better.
Yeah. Okay.
For better. I mean, I think in every aspect the cinema has evolved. I am pro independent films. I am slightly, because I feel they are free to explore their scripts. They're free to explore. They don't have constraint of the big budget. So somehow I find they are slightly more. They have a one-upmanship in terms of exploring the creativity aspect. Whereas in a big budget films, you're always thinking of recovering that, and you're trying to fill what suits that budget or the market. It somehow is pulled by the finance rather than your creative aspect. So मैं थोड़ा independent और कम budget वाली फिल्मों को ज़्यादा पसंद करती हूँ.
And while you've just come back from a huge multi.
But here again, I felt because there's a Sanjay Leela Bhansali, he somehow gives space. Okay. Bhansali gives space, though there is a big budget, though there is that, but he somehow, at least in Heeramandi, I felt ऐसा कभी नहीं था कि ये फॉर्मूला है, आपको यही फॉर्मूला करना पड़ेगा. ये नहीं था. वो तो वो खुद एक्सप्लोर कर रहे थे. इतना लेयर्स हर कैरेक्टर में उन्होंने दिया हुआ है. You know, every character is interesting.
Did you feel weighed down by the entire the enormity of it all? Your outfits, your jewelry, the speaking style. Was it constraining or liberating?
I gave my life to it. When I was doing it, I knew it. I just remembered what my dadi had told me about my grandfather, that, you know, he had this do or die type of energy in whatever you take. And I somehow knew, because also after cancer, for me, it's like either get totally absorbed by it and do it right by it, or don't do it. So I was, even if it was tough, or there were sometimes long hours, there were times I used to get tired and drained. There were times my body was giving up, but my spirit never did. My interest never did. My wanting to do my best never did. Because that would make me work harder. मेरी ज़बान उतनी उर्दू में शुद्ध नहीं है, लेकिन मैं प्रैक्टिस करती थी. मैं हमेशा कभी कभी मेरे टेक्स हो जाते थे 30-40 टेक्स, लेकिन थक जाते हैं. आंखें रोना सीन होता तो मतलब यू रो के हर एक सीन में यू फील ड्रेन्ड, यू फील टायर्ड, योर आईज आर हर्टिंग, योर आईज आर बॉइलिंग रेड. बट आई फील विद if the director wanted one more, I was ready to give one more. It was वो एक माइंड फ्रेम था.
हाँ, and Urdu not being a language that you were comfortable speaking because you haven't. It's not your language. Yeah. But I remember reading when I was young, Muzaffar Ali से पूछा गया था कि रेखा को क्यों कास्ट किया उमराव जान में. She's not somebody who's fluent in Urdu. You know, she's a South Indian. Urdu is not her language. So Tamilian and not even from Hyderabad or something like that. You know, like Dia Mirza is. Would be familiar with the Urdu language. So at that time he had said that जब खुदा हुस्न इतनी देता है तो उर्दू अपने आप आ जाती है.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's like that. I think with you also it must have been like that. That's so much of beauty that a beautiful language just came your way.
I know. I worked hard.
You did?
I really worked hard. It was not easy. There was Munira ji, my coach, my diction coach. मैंने तो पहले ही संजय को बोल दिया था मुझे एक डिक्शन कोच दे दें और मैं उनके साथ काम करूँगी. मैं तो उनको छोड़ती नहीं थी. मुनीरा जी आइए मेरे साथ बैठिए बात कीजिए और उर्दू में बात कीजिए. तो she lived also next to my house, so going back I would drop her. So हम लोग बातें करते थे उर्दू में.
हाँ.
और मैंने काफ़ी मेहनत की. तब जाके आई थिंक 80% ठीक हुआ है, 20% फिर भी गलत है.
Okay. Two things which you just spoke about. One was your grandfather and one was your battle with cancer. I want to come to both these because they are life-defining moments, your family's lineage as well as your battle with cancer. So can we begin with the cancer aspect about how you got to know and how you battled it and how you bounced back from it?
Right. So basically, in 2012, I was diagnosed and I had no clue that it was a last stage of ovarian cancer. And when I was diagnosed in Nepal, and then very fearful, obviously, like everybody else, extremely. Then we came here. We were in Jaslok Hospital. There also, when the doctors came, the 2-3 doctors, the top doctors, and I spoke to them, I felt I was going to die. And I felt this is the end of me. So somehow I spoke to my friend's sister and my mother's friend who are in New York. And 2-3 some known figures हमको मालूम था कि they had gone to New York and done the treatment, and my grandfather also had gone to Sloan Kettering and done a treatment even after doing a Tata made treatment. So somehow I had that in my mind that okay, let me just go to New York. And the thing that I felt, I met the doctor, Dr. Chi. वो कोरियन डॉक्टर हैं और उन्होंने अमेरिकन कोरियन, एंड उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि मनीषा मैंने ऐसे पेशेंट को ठीक किया है, सो डोंट वरी. सो आई वाज रिलीव्ड बट आई वाजंट श्योर, बट समहाउ देयर वाज some little hope I felt. And the whole journey for me and for my parents and my brother and sister-in-law, all of us, was very scary, sad, but also it revealed another aspect of me which I prefer to remember. I prefer to remember the new eyes that I got of looking at everything with a lot of gratitude, with a lot of newness, with a lot of hope, with not complacent attitude. Which I had developed over the period of time. So I started looking at, I'll give you an example. When we were going for a kind of a walk, me and my brother, I started noticing टहनियों में जब छोटी छोटी पत्तियाँ निकलती ना, वो उनकी कलर्स बहुत ब्राइट होती हैं. तो I started noticing those colors, छोटी छोटी पत्तियाँ, and how life was exploding and coming in full form and all that. So those visual I'll always remember with. I'll remember with, and also.
But it was tough, right? I mean,
yeah.
Chemo and everything that you.
Yeah.
10 years ago?
About 11 plus 11. Now.
Yeah. How long were you in New York?
See, what happened was I was in New York for almost 5 to 6 months. My treatment, I started showing my operation went very successful. I think it was 11 hours of operation, and my doctor was very, very, very kind to my parents, you know. माँ ने नेपाल से वो कहते हैं ना रुद्राक्ष वगैरह सब हवन ववन करके महामृत्युंजय का पूजा करके रुद्राक्ष लेके गई थी और डॉक्टर को दिया था कि आप अपने पास रखिए. तो समा मुझे लगता है उन्होंने स्टरलाइज करके क्या करके कैसे रखा, बट रखा. और ऑपरेशन जैसे 11 घंटे के बाद निकले तो उन्होंने कहा ये माला ने कमाल कर दिया है. यू नो इट वाज सक्सेसफुल. So I felt he was so respectful towards my parents, which was like a great quality.
And the culture.
And the culture.
Yeah.
Because he could see that
Asian too, right?
Yeah.
So he was,
yeah. So
yeah.
I felt that was really wonderful, and I also started responding very well to chemo. He introduced to Vicky Macker, who is half Punjabi and American, Punjabi American. And so she basically started treating me, and she gave me a lot of hope. And there were a lot of times I remember I would break down and I would see only dark. I was only hopelessness and pain and fear, and I would get consumed sometimes by fear and pain. And she's the one who kept on saying, Manisha, you're doing well. You know, your medicine is working on you. This chemo is working on you. Why are you like this? Get up. You know, you're fine. You'll be okay. So मुझे उन्होंने काफ़ी मदद दी. Both Dr. Chi और Dr. Macker, मुझे लगता है they were like a blessing to me. And they became my backbone, my strength, something that I would go to, and as a student I would take my copy and pen and write whatever instruction they give me. I just follow that. And then when I became slightly better, I started reading a lot of materials. I started listening to audiobooks. तो कैसे लोग हील होते हैं, हेल्थ क्या है, why do people fall sick, what was the reason, you know, and how can I avoid in future not to fall sick. So all that I was getting the information.
Did you ever think that you'd come back to films at that stage?
See, I knew one thing, that if I get a chance to life, एक बार तो मुझे जाके स्कोर ठीक करना था मुझे, क्योंकि लाइफ
स्कोर ठीक करना,
हाँ, क्योंकि क्या था कि लाइफ ने मुझे इतना सब कुछ दिया और मुझे लगा मैंने ही सब कुछ बिगाड़ा. सो आई वांटेड टू करेक्ट दैट मिस्टेक. यू नो, आई फेल्ट responsible towards my work, that I must, because there were so many fans I had disappointed by doing bad films, by, you know, not looking good, I felt I was irresponsible towards my career, which has given me so much. So I had prayed that if I get a second chance, I really want to do the best that I can and not disappoint my fans, and then leave if I have. So I felt Heeramandi was that for me, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. इसीलिए मैं उसमें I really put my every effort in that.
You talked about your family, about how your brother, your sister-in-law, your parents were there. For young viewers who may not know the connection, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know about it, talk to me about your family. Your grandfather was Prime Minister of Nepal.
Right.
You have great uncles who've been Prime Ministers.
Right.
You come from a very illustrious family from Nepal.
Right.
What prompted you at that stage to move to India, live in Varanasi, and get into the film industry, not politics?
So those days I thought I was the black sheep of the family, but it turned out the other way around. So basically we were in political exile, and our base was in Varanasi, Banaras. And so I grew up in Banaras, and my schoolings was in Basant Kanya Mahavidyalaya. And then from there, of course, Army Public School in Delhi, I studied for 2 years.
Yeah, you were junior to me.
Hey! Wow!
Small world, right?
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow! Yeah, so I'm still friends with my school friend from Banaras and school friend from Delhi. So, yeah, and then after that, I guess I got into movies, but I got, first I did a Nepali film. First I did a Nepali ad film. My mama, my mom's cousin, he was batchmate of Jayaji and everybody in Pune. So he was an ad filmmaker in Nepal. तो उन्होंने मुझे बुलाया और उन्होंने मेकअप करवाया और मेरा फ़ोटो खींचा, बोला तुम बहुत फोटोजेनिक हो, तुम एड फिल्म करोगी? मैंने कहा हाँ करूँगी. तो I think once you're in an ad film that became a very popular, then I did a Nepali film. And then मुझे एक्टिंग का कीड़ा लगा, मैंने कहा मुझे बॉम्बे जाना है, मुझे I want to be in the film industry. So there was people got a rude shock. There were a lot of opposition. There was like fear factor. Nobody knows that industry. What they know industry through yellow journalism, through Stardust and Cineblitz and all these gossips and all, you know, all the wrong things about the stars.
Was there anybody else from the Nepal film industry or Nepali in the film industry at that time?
See, Mala Sinha ji was there, but we didn't know her. You know, and I think she was married to a Nepali. I don't know what if she's a Nepali or she's not. So, but I don't think there was.
Okay.
I don't think there was. So somehow.
But when you got in at that stage, I remember that that phase, and he was like look-alike of Madhuri. There was a lot of that happened with you.
Right.
Were you flattered? Were you embarrassed? Were you resentful? What was happening at that stage?
Okay, so honestly, those days I wasn't flattered, but today I am because you know she's so beautiful, she's so graceful, and not only that, she's a wonderful woman. You know, as a person, I just love her, and it was quite an honor. You know, but when you're young, and I was a rebel. You know, I was always. मुझे सब लोग बोल रहे हैं कि आप ये चलो तो मुझे वैसे जाना है. You know, I was a bit of a nutcrack, nutty person.
Till you did Lajja together.
Yeah.
Both of you sharing the same screen space.
Yeah. And by then I had also matured up. By then also my eyes had opened and I was seeing, my goodness, you know, such a humble person, super talented, you know, and so beautiful. So, I mean, I started really, and
you were gutsy. You danced with her.
I know.
Who dances with Madhuri? I mean, anybody would be scared to do that, right?
I know.
Because she's such a doyen.
Oh my God.
To dance with her, like even in Aishwarya, had to practice a lot, and you would have to, right?
Yeah.
When you're dancing next to her.
Absolutely. I mean, she's marvelous, you know. I love her. And also the fact that later on I got to know that she had recommended my name. She had seen me in Rakesh Shrestha's photo shoot, and she had actually told Subhashji that, you know, I've seen one girl, you know, you should see her for the Saudagar and all. That's how Subhashji called for my photograph from Rakesh Shrestha.
Okay, so let's get into the Subhash guy. Was it incidental that he found an M? Because he renames people with M, right?
I know.
So how was that? That was like poetic that you landed up?
I guess when it's meant to be, it happens like that. So I didn't have to change my name. And yeah.
Saudagar was a good experience?
Saudagar I was too young, too naive, right out of my 12th standard. You know, I think I was 18, 19. No exposure to life, no exposure to anything. I was very fearful. I was very scared. I wanted to keep everybody at a distance. वो किताब पढ़ते हैं, वो बहाना करते हैं ना कि मैं किताब पढ़ रही हूँ, वैसे कोई पास ना आए मेरे पास. इस किस्म का मुझे डर था, you know. So
was it so alien, Bombay film industry? It was
very, very alien, and very alien. Plus, I was a very shy kid. I was not very confident kid. You know, I was not exposed to the world, nothing. So you couldn't imagine, like it was, I was very scared and very shy, unsure to the core. I had no clue.
But then just because people had said ki nahi karna, you wanted to do Bombay film industry.
I somehow wanted, because I have grown up watching Hindi cinema. In Banaras, every Sunday, my Dadi was a film buff. So she and I would go and watch a movie. Dadi, मैं और 2-3 लोग और होते थे. You know, so एक बार आपको मालूम नहीं, मैं बताऊंगी आपको अभी. एक थिएटर में चंद्रशेखर जी was my grandfather's friend, right? So चंद्रशेखर जी
former prime minister.
हाँ,
चंद्रशेखर. हाँ.
तो वो आए एक बार बनारस में और हमारे यहाँ ठहरे थे और दादी ने कहा संडे है तो फिल्म जाएंगे. तो पूरा एक थिएटर का हॉल हमने बुक करवाया था और चंद्रशेखर जी थे, दादा थे, दादी थी, पूरे लोग वो थिएटर में हम लोग. हालांकि उनको वो फिल्म आफ्टर इंटरवल दे लेफ्ट बिकॉज दे आर नॉट फिल्म पीपल. दे डोंट.
But do you remember which film? Do you recall?
It was Manoj Kumar ji's and Hema ji's film, Hema Mani's film.
Shakti? No, not Shakti. Shakti mein to
something about revolution.
Where she's tied in a black sari and all that. Yeah.
Boat mein wo.
Yes, I remember the movie, but I can't seem to remember the name. Okay.
So wo film thi. And so basically every Sunday was film for us. Okay. And I grew up watching cinema. So जब मैंने नेपाली फिल्म की तो मुझे लगा कि मुझे जाना चाहिए. So I feel there was some sort of a zid in me.
That's the zid which even after the cancer episode, when you come back and you start acting, it's that zid. Sometimes zid is a motivating factor, no?
Yeah.
It moved. So when you came back and you started acting, were you hunting for scripts or did they come your way?
So I started figuring out how does this new industry work. This whole experience after cancer, the industry had changed a lot, you know, over the years, and people had changed a lot. So I was actually rediscovering the film industry. Though I've been part of it, but everything was new to me because I was away for a long period of time. So अभी casting director XYZ, पहले हमारे यहाँ खाली एक सेक्रेटरी हुआ करते थे. अभी एजेंसी होती हैं. एजेंसी में भी सब यंग है, 20 साल की लड़कियां हैं. You know, everybody is working. Everybody nowadays are in their 20s. Most of them. You know, so I was discovering, figuring, navigating, and that's how. It wasn't as if I said I want to work and it happened. Really.
But you in your 20s and today's girls in their 20s in the film industry, do you see them and see a difference?
A lot of difference. Today the girls are much wiser. They are so sure what they want out of life. And they're so much more disciplined, so much more focused. Some of them are superbly talented, you know, from the day one only, from the first film only. Honestly speaking, I learned on the job. You know, I became better per director, the good director that I kept on working with. And I started understanding. I remember during 1942, I learned what good acting was. You know, so that means I have learned on the job.
And you were experimentative because at that stage, to want to do a Tamil film, people would say कि क्यों language film करना है? Not just that mother of two that you were acting. You were also doing
regional.
Tamil.
Those days, regional, and it was looked down upon those days.
मतलब it was near suicidal कि अगर यहाँ से reject हो गए तो गए, and you weren't.
No. No.
You were, so there was though you were vulnerable because you had no one in the industry, but at the same time you were bold enough to try out new things.
Also there was some, like people like Ashok ji and all were around me, and somehow they helped me take a right decision. You know, if they weren't around, I wonder, you know, if I would have taken that decision.
What got you bored at some point of time with what you were doing? What was that stage? Quick, right
repetitiveness, not growing, stagnation, repetitiveness, doing mediocre work. I remember waking up one fine day and say, oh my God, this is what my life looks like. I remember having this conversation with Dimple ji. and we were doing a film, and I said, I'm bored. I'm bored of acting. And she said, better enjoy it because it's not going to last forever. And that's such a great advice she gave me. But उस वक्त मेरे मन में आता है कि क्या कह रही हैं, समझ नहीं रही, मैं इतना bored हो गई हूँ. मतलब कि मेरा, my inner conversation was different, but she actually gave me a very sound advice.
Yeah.
And because there was so much of work I was doing, so many films I was doing. Every morning I would get up, 2-3 hours in the makeup, go work in 2-3 shifts in different films.
In those days there were like several films simultaneously, right?
Minimum 12 to 14-15 hours a day we were working, and there was no Sundays off. Today the concept of 6 days a week, not that, it was 7 days a week.
Work-life balance was an alien concept.
360 days in a year.
Gosh.
No holiday for years, no break for years. And that also pushed any that would, and I was bored of that. I would come back home very tired, and I would start losing interest slowly, and that's what happened to me.
And did you have any lasting friendships in the film industry? The reason I ask is because is it hard to be having lasting friendships and to have lasting relationships in an industry where the span is so short, and you're competing with people who look as beautiful as you, as talented as you, and you know that there's a restricted time period for actresses, at least in that time.
Yeah.
So did you have friendships?
See, there were few things working parallelly with me. I do understand these emotions were very potent and very strong in everybody, and they were the realities of our times. But also I feel there was a part of me which did not get too drawn into मुझे करना ही है, मुझे हीरोइन ही रहना है और मुझे टॉप एक्ट्रेस ही रहना है और मैं इनसिक्योरिटी के साथ ड्रिवन हो जाती हूँ. वो ड्राइव मेरे में नहीं था. So somehow I was a little detached. And also my friendships today, like I'm friends with Deepti Navalji, and she, like since my Saudagar film, but our friendship also, to be very honest, has gone good days and has gone bad days, and like life, everything has, and towards
she's had personal struggles too in her life.
Exactly, all of us do.
Yeah.
All of us do. And sometimes we are disconnected with each other. Sometimes, so many of my friends, my school also, we don't speak for years sometimes. But then when we connect as if we never stop talking. And there are few things I feel in friendship and in relationship. Honesty, and I feel forgiveness. Because if we don't forgive ourselves, if we don't forgive the other, the friendship will not last. And honesty to accept, okay, this is where I went wrong, and this is where you went wrong, and talk
you
it
worked
out.
with such greats in the film industry, not just the heroes that you worked with, but the directors that you worked with, from Subhash Ghai to Prakash Jha and now Sanjay Leela Bhansali, and in between also so many of them like Mani Ratnam that you were speaking about.
Right.
And each of them has a style of their own. When you move from one project to the other with such renowned directors, are you able to, as an artist, remold yourself, recast yourself? How do you do that?
So, as I said earlier, I basically work with the director in his vision, his style, because I feel a director is the captain of the ship, and the writer, and director, and I try to mold myself with each director that I work with. Yes, there are times where the director is not so strong and not so gifted or not so, on top of his craft. Then we put in our bit and we do what we must do to make it this thing. But by and large, when the director is excellent and you have to, I want to mold myself, and because I don't want to go with ये मेरा स्टाइल है, ये मेरी समझ है और मैं ऐसा ही करने वाली हूँ, then मुझे स्टैग्नेशन हो जाएगा, मेरा स्टैग्नेशन हो जाएगा एज एन आर्टिस्ट. तो अगर कोई दूसरा कुछ लेके आ रहा है, I'll try to mold myself according to that.
Quite the director's baby.
I am. बट मुझे समझ में फटाक से आ जाता है कि ये डायरेक्टर अच्छी फिल्म बना रहे हैं कि नहीं. मतलब कि एक दो दिन के बाद sometimes people have gift of the gap and you get carried away thinking they're going to make an excellent film, but you sign the film, and second day of the shoot okay, my God,
is a novice.
Yes. And so then I guess you have to really try and do your best yourself.
You bring your craft and summon up that
independently, then you have to work.
Right. I was talking to you about politics. There are many Indian actors who have moved to politics.
Right.
Recently it was Kangana Ranaut who got it. You must have been asked several times to get into Nepali politics. Why didn't you take that plunge?
So I feel, now this is a very personal point of view. I feel for an actor to be a good politician, it's a struggle. Because as an actor, we get so much of attention. So much is like on our call, we are like bosses. Politician is basically, though there's a leader and you drive the people, but you're also a servant of the people. You're also there to help people. So, अगर आप में ये समझ आ गया है, if you have accepted that and you've understood that you are a servant of the people, and if I can understand that and then work, meaning zero ego, zero, आप दिखाने को दिखा सकते, but internally you are ground से बहुत जुड़े हुए हैं.
सेवा भाव है.
सेवा अगर है तो आप कुछ भी करो, then you will succeed. But lot of actors have not been able to go beyond your own, because we are pampered lot. So much of eyes are on us, so much attention we get. वो pamperedness अगर हम छोड़ सकते हैं तो we can be a very good person in politics. And politics for me is seva. Politics for me is not power. Politics for me is not that I'll want to be a PM or I want to be a minister and I 10 लोग मेरे पीछे होने चाहिए आगे. I think.
But what happened? Tell me, what is your take, since you've seen so many politicians up close? Why is Nepal not able to get its act together? I don't mean this as a criticism, but governments keep falling again and again. It doesn't work.
So I'm hugely critical, and I'm openly hugely critical of a present political system in Nepal. And long time back also, I don't want to go too much into it, but I grew up in a political family.
Yeah.
I have listened to politics maybe when I was in my mother's stomach. So in my unconscious, conscious and everything, I understand politics. And also those days, it was completely, as my dadi would say, it's a seva, 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 and it's for the people. And my father also, he says politics is like, I asked my father, I said, well, how do you define politics? And he said, it's a dream that you have for the people. So everything is for the people, for the people, for the people. And that whenever that gets detached from the reality, there's a trouble. I feel if the current lot of political people involved in Nepal could understand, I don't know if they don't understand, because I think everybody gets in when they're young, when you get into the politics, having a high morals and high ideas and high wanting to do right. But as you progress through life and you start compromising 1 step, 2 step, 3 step and 100 step, probably that fades, that dream or that wish that you had or the ideals that you had gets blurred. Maybe that's the reason. But see, Nepal is a landlocked country. It has 2 huge neighbors. Nepal is also very traditional in mind. Nepalese people are also very forward thinking and very open to, it's a good society, it's open society, but at the same time very rooted in tradition. So अभी भी आप कहीं भी अगर नेपाली फैमिली है कहीं भी रहें दुनिया में, वो दशहरा में लाल टीका लगाएंगे, दशहरा में वो अपने अगर शादीशुदा है तो वो पोते की माला कहते हैं, मंगलसूत्र होता है, वो लगाएंगे. So it's like I feel it could have been if you value tradition and culture and then also become modern, a good mix of your values and modern, you know.
Do you think young Nepalis feel at this stage that that this experiment maybe with democracy didn't work?
Democracy works. Democracy, I think there is no other solution to democracy. I feel somehow, but not a facade of democracy, but in a true sense, there should be a democracy. And I feel
a stable democracy, right?
Where institutions are placed properly and institutions are not politicized, and it function on the basis of merit. All the, you know, it's not politically appointed.
You feel constitution has failed the people in Nepal?
Yes. I feel they should have given a space to monarch. There is a space in you can't, the 90% of the people or 80% of the people are Hindu in Nepal, okay? And today everybody somehow or the other respects the king. That factor should not have been overlooked. And somehow it was. And somehow it's not going down too well. This sudden changes, sudden this thing has
Where
not
were
gone.
you, Manisha ji, when you heard about the massacre at the palace? And how did you react to it?
I was shooting and I was in London that time, and it was completely devastating. We were destroyed, and I was like howling. My mother was with me, and my dad has never howled. My dad has cried and howled, you know, on the phone. So there were lakhs of Nepalese who shaved their head. And see the astha, abhi bhi hai. You can't erase that. You know, that faith, that trust, that belief, that tradition is so engraved in Nepalese people. I may be personally, you know, very modern, but I love the tradition.
And you're modern, but you're spiritual also. You've spoken about the role of spirituality in your life.
Yeah.
Tell me how spirituality helped you overcome your personal struggles.
So spirituality always helps in every aspect, and you get an eye to deal with your situation. I recently spoke to Shekhar Kapoorji, and I said, I'm feeling this, and he just said, Manisha, just remember. And I said, then I started pondering on that, and I said, my God, you know, the issues, the trouble that just went off. Because
is he spiritual?
Yes, he's
Shekhar Kapoor, the
very rooted in spirituality.
Okay.
He's one of the most evolved people that I know.
Huh.
So, but not religiously, you know, religion driven, but it's more spiritual driven. And so it has always helped me.
So you, even though you're not in politics, you have taken up many causes for women and others. Can you talk to me about those causes and how you give yourself to those causes?
So mainly for me is right now is the cancer issues, and I feel to educate people about cancer is very necessary because so many people I've met across, first of all, they think cancer is a death sentence. No. If you go through a right doctor, go through a right treatment, and if you actually catch the cancer early, and it's curable, it's treatable, and you can live long, you know. So there is, when I got cancer, there was not so much of information. So I had promised myself कि मैं ये काम करूँगी कि मैं कैंसर के बारे में बोलूँगी और अपने all health के बारे में बोलूँगी, how to have a preventable lifestyle.
You had never done a screening before?
No, I not. Okay. How important is the screening? How important is to go regular screening after 40 years, especially for women, for men, you know, and to be on top of your body's information and also see the sign and symptoms. And a lot of people, they get scared and वो जाते नहीं हैं दिखाने के लिए. मैंने कहा नहीं, तुम आप जल्दी कैच करोगे ना तो आपका कुछ ज़्यादा पेन भी नहीं होगा, खर्चा भी नहीं होगा, and you know you'll.
Yeah.
So many things about cancer, the misinformation about cancer, awareness, plus giving hope to people that
Because battling cancer is not just of the patient, it's the entire family that gets involved. Your family did too. And it can lead to financial catastrophe for a family, and in most cases in India it does. When we have such huge chunk of population which is middle class or under the poverty line, it devastates a family.
You visit Mumbai Tata Cancer Hospital, you will see cases. It's packed with people, and if you talk to them, you will realize उनके पास कुछ छोटी सी ज़मीन थी, घर था, सब बेच बाच के यहाँ आ जाते हैं, और वो 1 महीने में, 2 महीने में, 3 महीने में ख़त्म हो जाता है. और कैंसर का ट्रीटमेंट समटाइम्स साल लगता है, कम से कम 2 साल लगते हैं, कम से कम 3 साल लगते हैं. सो it's very painful journey, and there's a lot to be done on this field.
Like you were doing, so is Mahima Chaudhary. Both of you, it's incredible. Both Subhash guys, prodigies also. Both similar kind of time and similar kind of career graphs. She also disappeared at one point of time. Then she returns. She fights cancer. She comes back and wants to prove herself all over again.
And she will.
Anupam Kher spoke about that in my podcast, where he called her up and she burst into tears. And, when she said that, are you serious? Do you really want me to act in your film? Like, I'm like battling cancer and I've come out of it. And he said, yes, you can do it. And it's the same kind of story that you also went through. The parallels are so many. And you're doing immense amount of work on this issue. So what is your, one you said is the film that you, this Heeramandi, what you did to prove yourself to your fans that you care enough to come back. What is it that you'll tell young actors, or young professionals who are battling personal issues like this, how to go about their life?
Okay, first of all, let me be very honest that it's not as if I don't go through personal battles. Even today I go through personal battles, but I somehow navigate through it, and I feel there's a lot of, there are a lot of help available nowadays. So many anxieties are there, but also there is so much of everything is available nowadays, and that stigma is also not attached to it. So taking therapy, talking to people, taking help, asking people for help,
physiological as psychological issues,
mental issues, emotional issues, physical issues, everything is available nowadays. And I feel people should not be in a shell. They should be able to talk it out, because we think that we will be judged. Maybe there's going to be one person who's judge you, but maybe there's another person who's going to be compassionate, who will help you. And don't be afraid to ask for a help. I would like to say that. I learned that during cancer. This Lisa Ray had told me.
Oh yes, she's also,
Yeah, and she told me this. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. And I really tell this to everybody now. Ask for help when you need it.
It's not weakness.
It's not weakness. And there are people who are there to help you out. They will help you out, and they will guide you, not in any other way, guide you or comfort you, or something or the other will come out.
There's also violence against women. You've acted in Lajja, that was also about abusive relationship, getting out of that. And then you have also spoken out against that too. And more women are breaking those shackles and speaking about incidents that they've had in the past. But in the film industry, do you see that happening?
Not really. I feel like how?
In the sense that exploitation and abusive relationships do happen in the film industry, but very few speak about it.
See, I somehow feel, again, as you said, no, film industry, I feel, मेरे तो एंटीना खड़ी हो जाती है, because मुझे लगता है कि film industry society का अंग होता है, और जैसे कि हर एक अंग में आपको वो disparity और misuse and of weaker, whether it's a weaker sex or weaker person or weaker position or whatever, because this is a profession where everything gets highlighted, probably it gets exposed more to us. But it happens in every aspect, in other profession also, in other areas as well. So, but again, I want to say at the same breath that there are a lot of young women who have come out and they speak. And kudos to the young people who are bold enough to talk about it. In my generation, I don't think any of us really spoke about anything. But look at Me Too movement. That happened when 10 years back.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, halaki Me Too movement mein koi ekad...
Even wages, right? When you joined in the 90s,
right,
your wages were nothing compared to the leading men. And today they are very comparable.
They are few. When they speak and they wo ho jata hai. But there are again...
You must have been paid half of what your leading men were paid?
1/3.
Okay.
So, but there was a time where I was paid most also.
Okay.
But it's like वो बहुत बाद में आया. शुरू में तो था ही नहीं. You know, it was like pay parity is a term, I think, no? I think
correct.
So, I think.
Yes, yes.
वो पहले तो हम लोग सोच नहीं सकते.
Alien concept,
हाँ,
right?
alien concept. So ऐसा कुछ था ही नहीं.
We were talking about causes. Another cause which we must talk about, and it's not talked all that much about, is human trafficking from Nepal. That's something you've lent your voice to also.
Yes. So we did basically poverty and uneducation and lack of the will from the people of political class or something. I feel a lot of vulnerable lot get exploited. And that women definitely get exploited. And earlier on they were trafficked to many countries. Now they get abused within the country. And there are a lot of these different things have started. And I recently was in Nepal and people were saying it's become worse. So I feel...
That's so bizarre, no?
Yeah.
With moving times.
Exactly.
That it wouldn't happen.
So again, I feel it has to have a political will. It has to have society's contribution and society's will to not accept this, And
what are your goals at this point of time? What is your mantra that keeps you going, and what more do you want to do in life?
So basically, I want to live with a lot of gratitude in my heart, and I also want to be open to life. I also feel like in some Alice in Wonderland, exploring and seeing what life has in store for me. It's been a great roller coaster ride, and
whichever path opens up, like Alice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to chart your path, but...
Not really. No. But I definitely do not... I wish to be happy and I wish to be healthy, and those are my basic requirement. Rest, I'm open to.
Did you rediscover your family during...
Yes. I absolutely rediscovered the value for my family. In the sense, my parents, I get goosebumps and I have tears in my eyes when I think of those times. But they were the people who stood by me. My brother, my brother's wife, my mom, my dad, and few close friends and close family people. Rest are not there for you when you really need them.
Ranbir spoke about his father's battle with cancer, and he said that he had, in one podcast he spoke that he didn't really have a warm relationship with his dad. Not something that they spoke about feelings. He spoke about it with his mom, but with his dad there was that distance.
Right.
But the time that they were in New York, during cancer treatment, that's when the vulnerability of the father-son relationship came to the fore.
Yeah.
And they were ready to take that path, knowing that there's a time frame that you're working in.
Right.
It's ending.
Right.
And you have to make up for the years that were not there. when you were battling cancer and your family was with you, was that thing there that there was a sorry I didn't reach out to you, sorry you were not there, sorry I was not there, was that happening?
Absolutely, my God, so much. And appreciation for who they are and what they do for you as parents was huge. I don't know how to say this more without crying, but the thing is, I saw my mother's struggle. You know, she would keep a very brave face to me, but I could hear her cry. And my dad would pick me up and say, Manisha, you have to walk. I said, Dad, I can't, you know. I feel like throwing up. I have no energy. I can't. He said, no, 2 steps. So he would hold my hand and pull me up and say, एक step. अभी वहाँ तक. एक बच्चे को जैसे आप करते हो ना.
I was just going to say that. Like a toddler,
He did that to me. And then slowly from room to I reached to the corridor, and from one end of the corridor to another, he was cajoling me to walk because that's what doctor had told कि she should get up and walk. So उनका patient, उनका love, I mean I will never get this anywhere else. So my value for them became like, wow, I'm so grateful that I have this.
Because you were close to your grandparents and
yes, my grandmother.
Your grandmother.
My grandfather was never around. He was always,
Yeah, and now your parents and your brother.
Yeah.
Right? Your brother didn't want to get into politics either?
He tried, but then also there was, I think, there was a lot of, he got a little fed up with a lot of internal family pressures and leg pulling and the party and...
How big is the Koirala family anyway, right?
It's huge.
Yeah, I tried to understand it. I spoke with some friends too. They said, just forget it because even we can't understand it.
I don't know most of them. I just know my जो immediate circle में जिनके साथ मैं grow up हुई हूँ. Beyond than that, मुझे समझ ये कौन है ये अच्छा. So yeah.
Okay, and very illustrious, of course. Everybody has made a name for themselves in whatever career paths that they chose.
Absolutely.
They did that, and so have you. And I asked you this, and I'm going to repeat this. What is it that you still have to do in films? What do you want to do in films? Heeramandi has happened. Yeah. What else is there which is in the works?
So nothing. I mean, honestly,
don't do any villainous roles, please. You're too sweet looking to do that. It's unbelievable to think that you can have those negative, vicious thoughts. So what would you want to do? What more as an actor would you want to do?
I really don't know, and I'm open to doing something challenging, something new, something good if it comes my way. And if it doesn't, it's fine. I mean, I'm in Nepal doing things and stuff like that.
See, like in Hollywood, there are films written for a Meryl Streep. There are films written for Susan Sarandon.
Yeah.
In India, it's just about starting.
Yes.
Right? There's a Neena Gupta who's broken mold and things. So you would want to do something like that,
Why
right?
not?
A senior woman exploring her sexuality, exploring new stuff which is happening.
Why not?
Right?
Why not? Yeah.
Okay, looking forward to seeing you in those kind of roles.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manisha ji, for sparing the time and speaking to us and giving us so much of inspiration to battle forward and move on in life.
Thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching this edition of the ANI podcast with Smita Prakash. Do like or subscribe on whichever channel you have seen this or heard this. Namaste. Jai Hind. Click here to watch the previous episodes.